4 years ago, a number of people in Douglasville were keeping up with the career of Ricky Dobbs. He had played at Douglas County High School for the Tigers, was a football and basketball star. Growing up, he had played in Hunter Park, Davis Park, as well at the boys club. Then he went away to Navy, the U.S. Naval Academy. And probably for a couple of years, not that many people even knew that Ricky was at the Naval Academy. But people know now because Ricky Dobbs has exploded on the national scene with his football exploits during the 2009 season. And he's looking forward, as we all are, to 2010 season with an outstanding Navy team. He now has a national following, and with an excellent football team, this fall should be a real treat. But there's a lot more to Ricky Dobbs than football, and in this City TV program, we'll be talking not only about his football career, but of Ricky Dobbs as a person. And in a special edition of the lineup, we're just delighted to have this opportunity to talk with him. And I'm City Manager Bill Osborne, and welcome to this special edition of the lineup, and thank you for joining us today. And at this time, I would like to welcome Clarence Ricky Dobbs, Jr. of Douglasville, quarterback, the U.S. Naval Academy. Ricky, welcome back to Douglasville in the North Side. It's great to have you on City TV.
Yes, sir. It's great to be here.
Well, we're today in the Alice Minor Hawthorne Community Center in Jesse Davis Park, and a lot of people have gathered for a special event to recognize and to honor you, not just because of your football exploits, but because of who you are as an individual. And what we'll be doing after our City TV program is you'll see a lot of family, friends, people that you grew up with and that have followed your career. While in a sense, probably all of this surprises you with everything that's happening today, having been around you a little bit, I'm not sure anything much surprises you.
A little bit, yeah. A lot of stuff catch me off guard every now and then.
Right. Well, this is Sunday afternoon, and we've got a lot of people that are going to be here with us. And I think that people that are watching on City TV, if they will stay tuned, I think they will be impressed with what they hear as we talk about you growing up and what you've already accomplished at the Naval Academy and what you hope to do in the future, including maybe being a future leader in the National Football League or U.S. politics, or maybe even in both. But what we want to do is really start by talking about your previous season at the Naval Academy. We know that after you graduated from Douglas County High School, you received an appointment to the Academy. Let's go back and talk a little bit about the 2009 season. And I want to focus for just a minute on the last two games of the season. Navy, big game, obviously, each year. Tell us a little bit about that game.
Well, the Army-Navy game is one of the, for us, it's the highlight of our season. Every year, it's the, one of the greatest rivalries in college football or any sports history. And, the tradition and all the brotherhood and just everything that is packed into that action-packed weekend is, definitely a remarkable day. And it's, words can't even begin to express the feeling that you feel just being at the game as a fan. And, not even as a player, but as a fan, that's on another level. But as a player, you can not even imagine. But, that's one of the biggest games, every year for each team, because one team can go undefeated and then lose that game, and then it's like,
right.
The whole season was a fail.
Right.
So, it's, that right there just shows you how much the intensity level of that game.
Right. Well, you had a great game. Second half, y'all pulled ahead and won the victory. And then you went to a bowl game. Missouri favored against you, but how'd that game come out?
Well, the Missouri game, it was one of those games, just like the Army game. We got off to a slow start. In our Army game, first half we had penalties and shooting ourselves in the foot. But the Missouri game, for the bowl game, the way we was killing ourselves there is turnovers. And, most likely, most of them were on my behalf. And all of them were inside the red zone. So, we got off to a real slow start. Our first drive we scored, and then the second drive we could have went up by a touchdown, but we had a exchange fumble on a quarterback, fullback, and they recovered it, and Then, they kind of like put us down, and then the defense held through, and we came back and scored again. And then in the first half itself, I had 3 fumbles. One was a quarterback-center exchange, but that goes to the credit of the quarterback. And then there was the one I was just telling you about, the first one on the second drive.
Right.
And then there was the one there, I was crossing the goal line.
Right. I remember that one.
I dropped, the guy stripped it from me there. But but that just made me keep fighting, and
right.
The team, luckily I have good guys behind me,
right.
That just push me and make sure I don't ever get down, and I get the best out of myself. So they they didn't rag on me. They just like, man, shake it off. And then sure enough, I shook it off, and we came back and hitting on all cylinders that whole game. I don't think Missouri stopped us. It was only us stopping ourselves.
Right.
And it's just hopefully. It is what I said it was to most of the guys returning, all of my classmates on the team. I told them, we have to finish strong, but this is also a start for next season, so we have to look at it that way. So hopefully what we did in that Missouri game is going to be the start of how we're going to pan out for this fall coming up.
I believe you had, 4 rushing touchdowns and 2 passing in that game?
In that game I had 3 rushing.
3 rushing.
And I think 1 pass.
Okay, close. In Notre Dame, after Notre Dame had beaten Navy, I think 38 straight times.
43.
43. Last year, y'all won. They were looking for revenge in the 2009 season, but y'all beat them. But the game that I really want to mention while we're talking about last season, Ohio State. First game of the season at Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State ranked 6th in the nation. And you played them real even all the way through. Late in the game, you had an 85-yard pass for a touchdown, 3rd longest in Navy history. And then you scored on a 24-yard run shortly before the game ended. And even though y'all lost by 2 points, I take it that game really showed you, we can play with the big guys.
Yes, sir, definitely. And, us being at Navy, have the heart that can't be measured. The guys that play with heart that you can't even imagine, looking out from the outside. But that's just what we went into from the game right there. It's just like, we feel like we can play with anybody. You put us on the field with anyone, we can play with them. That's just the kind of heart that we have. And and I think that our country will want future leaders of the military to have that kind of heart, and I think that's why you get that out of us a lot.
Right. Well, you certainly showed that, among other things. You had a broken kneecap the last half of the season.
Yes, the last 6 games I played with a broken kneecap.
Surgery since the season?
Yes, January 21st after the season.
In good shape now?
Great shape now.
Okay.
Actually, I feel a little bit faster than I was before, because I think this knee injury, I think I may have fractured it my first round of the state against Warner Robins. Mm-hmm. There was a time when I fell on the chains straight to my kneecap, and I think that's when I first fractured it.
Right.
So who knows, maybe I just kind of been hindered a little bit and never really knew it. And then but now I feel a whole lot better. It's just, and it's also a mental kind of like release from a mental block as far as having that pain in my knee. So now I don't even have to worry about it.
Right. Well, I want to highlight one part of last season for people who not even big football fans, I think, will be impressed by this, is that the all-time record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in a single season had been set by Tim Tebow a couple of years ago. But last year, you broke that by 2 touchdowns. How many touchdowns did you rush for last year?
I rushed for 27. Okay. The record was 23.
Okay,
and, Tim
23,
Tebow said
okay. I was even broke it by a big margin.
Yes, sir. And, all the credit for that goes to, my offensive line and the rest of the offensive unit, because we run a triple option, so that's a machine in itself.
Right. So,
the touchdowns are generated off of each other. Though I'm at the helm, but I can't survive without my slot backs and my fullback going up the middle. So.
Right. And you need to score only 12 touchdowns this fall to set the all-time NCAA record for the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in back-to-back seasons. I take it you're up to doing that.
Yes, I'm just gonna, if it happens, it happens. I'm gonna take it one game at a time. I'll be happy to score 1 touchdown next year. Right.
Well, let's kind of go back in time. You were born in Atlanta, January 31st, 1988, and there's a significance to that, and we'll come back to that in a little while. And of course, you grew up here in Douglasville playing ball at Davis Park, Hunter Park. Give us a couple of memories when you were growing up playing in the elementary and middle schools.
Well, I played for the Tiger Cubs, the Douglasville Tiger Cubs, back at Hunter Park, way back in the day. And I played with a lot of great football players. And my uncle Thomas Cobb, when I was 9 and 10, he was with my coach for 2 years. Him and Jermaine Lovejoy, who was the head coach at Stewart Middle School right now.
Right.
My Uncle Thomas taught me pretty much everything I know as far as quarterbacking football in general. And growing up playing with my cousin Thomas Cobb, Thomas Ellison. Thomas Ellison, he went to Alexander High School and graduated from there. Okay. Those are the best memories that I ever had in football, because I used to just throw the ball up as far as I could and Thomas would run and get it.
Right.
So, as far as the memories from Little League, those were the greatest memories right there. Just all out fun, just hanging loose.
Right.
And then up in middle school, didn't do too well in middle school. I suffered an injury to my wrist, and then I missed a couple of games there. But went in high school, and that's when I kind of started finding my way and coming into my own. And then, it just went from there.
Right. High school is a senior in football. I think 28 touchdown passes you threw. But basketball, I think a record of 72-15 in the last 3 years. Went to the state championship finals your senior year. You could play basketball in college, couldn't you?
Yes, sir. But I kind of chose football because that's what I didn't start playing basketball till I was in the 7th grade.
Right.
But I played, just playing pickup at the parks and stuff growing up. But that was I've been playing football since I was 4 or 5 years old. So.
Right. Right. Now, at Douglas County High School, you, of course, were more than just an athlete. You were an outstanding student there, certainly very popular with your classmates. And I understand that you're a pretty good politician even in high school. Some of the teachers called you mayor of Douglasville because of your political prowess there. Give us a couple of quick memories from high school, one in terms of athletics and the other in terms of the classroom.
Well, as far as athletics, I remember distinctly 2 different occasions, one football, one basketball. Funny story, I was in the 8th grade, after 8th grade summer going to the 9th grade for the basketball story. Coach Joe B. Boystone called a couple guys up from 8th grade to kind of see if, for the summer camp, to see who would make varsity or not. And I was playing in a tournament. It was in a Carrollton tournament. And Carrollton had a big guy in one of the big guards. He was maybe 6'4", 6'5", and I shot a 3-pointer. And he jumped out and blocked it like midway in the air. And then I just smiled, just because to me that was a part of the game. A lot of guys probably would have got discouraged. Right. And the very next trip down, same situation, I shot it again, and this time he jumped out, but I made it nothing but net. And that moment right there is when Coach Boystone said that he knew that I was going to play varsity for him, because right. I had a big smile on my face when I got my shot blocked, but I came right back at him, and he said he likes a tough kid like that. Right, right. And then the other is a football memory with Coach Williams and Coach Boystone in my senior year. Just that senior season in itself, Coach Boystone came over from basketball and to be the offensive coordinator, and Coach Williams, he was the guy who, was kind of mentoring me around as far as the football at the high school level, and just the memory as a whole with, we had a couple of people come in with the Katrina move, and they came out to the football team. So that my senior year as a whole, athletically, was a great memory. Right. And then in the school, I remember all the time, a lot of people used to tease me, and they used to always say that I never go to class. But I always used to attend classes. Just when I go to the bathroom, when I was in classes, I take long bathroom trips because I'd be walking around talking, or I would have office aide and be a teacher's assistant, and I would just walk around. I never really did any work. Like most of my classmates who had office aide, they would probably be filing and stuff, but I used to walk around and kind of patrol the halls. And this is where I think I got that name, being the mayor, right, and having such an impact, because a lot of my friends and stuff who were troublemakers and would get in trouble with teachers, I would kind of come around and kind of alleviate situations, right, and kind of essentially like make them respect the teachers and make them see it from a different light. Right. So.
Very good. Tell us about deciding to go to the Naval Academy.
Well, you know, it was a tough decision at first because Coach Bohannon, the coach he was one of the assistant coaches at Navy at the time. In May, spring training of going into my senior year, I was a junior at the time. He came to a football practice, watched us practice, and then he offered me at the end of practice. And I was thinking in my head, you know, okay, yeah, being respectful and everything. But when he left, I was like, there's no way in the world I'm going to go to the Navy and be in the military. But he talked to me like once a week, every week, and he just made me see it in a different light. And then I started at a young age, 17, 18-year-old boy at the time, looking at the big picture. Like, because I know at the time, you know, most of my friends was looking at the now, saying, you know, they want to go to college and part, but I was thinking about long term, right, as far as being set up after school, because, you know, football is not guaranteed, so I needed to make sure I have a plan. And in a way the economy was going at the time, it was just like, you know, this is an opportunity for me to have, you know, a guaranteed job coming out of college and everything like that. So that's why I went to the Naval Academy, just to, you know, future benefits for my future family and everything. So.
Right. The environment at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, very different than being here on the north side in Douglasville, isn't it?
Yes, sir, very different. Everything is strict and regiment. You're on a schedule. Everything is just, you know, cut to the T.
Right. Well, a few weeks ago, you in Douglasville came by City Hall, and we met. And I told you that this summer I'd like for you to do a TV show with me. And so we're doing this on the day that you're being honored here at the Hawthorne Center. So I appreciate you including this program in with part of today's schedule. Now, two members of the City Council I know you have known for some time, Councilwoman LaShawn Danley and Councilman Sam Davis. Tell us just very quickly about your relationship with them. First, Councilman Davis.
Councilman Davis, he's my uncle, actually married into his family, right, through Anita Cobb. She's a Johnson, but that's his niece. And I've been knowing him pretty much all of my life, right, keeping up, went to school with his daughter and everything. So he's sort of like an uncle to me also. Right. And, you know, he's a very funny guy. I mean, I love him to death. Right. And he cuts my hair every now and then when I come into town. Right. So, you know, just a good, wholesome man. Right.
And Councilwoman Danley?
Danley is sort of the same situation. My auntie married into her family, married her brother, Sherman Brown. And she's kind of like an auntie as well. And I grew up with her kids, used to play, rip and run up and down the streets behind my mom's shop, which is where she lived. And, right, you know, I just known her for quite some time. And it's just, you know, a blessing for both of them to be in councilman positions that they're in right now.
Right. And they're big supporters of yours. And in fact, I know we've got a lot of people here this afternoon that if I were to start asking you to talk about people that have been influences in your life, we'd probably be here for a 3-hour show. Oh, yes. But just in terms of friends, family, neighbors, classmates, teachers, just all of the people involved in your lifetime growing up and looking where you are now, if you want to just kind of give a quick overview of how, I guess, the totality of your contacts with these people growing up have shaped you into the person you are today.
Oh, well, that totality would have to be, you know, just the city of Douglasville in itself, everyone within it, over here on the north side, across the tracks here, is, you know, I'm no stranger to that saying, it takes a village to raise a child, and I am a cultivation of that because it right, actually took the whole city of Douglasville to shape and mold me, because I got a part of me. Everything that I am is a piece of everyone that I probably came across and who's gave me advice and been there to support me through my lifetime. And you know, the key partners, and you know, my mom and my dad and my uncle and aunt who I live with, Thomas and Anita Cobb, and my mom, Barbara Dobbs, and my dad, Ricky Sr. Those four are the ones who, you know, kind of, and my uncle Lewis Cobb, he passed away in 2007. Those 5 individuals right there are the ones who had that direct impact over me as far as the guidance and the direction that I'm going now. But that was just rough, but the shaping and molding came with all my coaches, friends, and teachers who helped shape and mold me and put their 2 cents into who I am today. Right.
Before we start talking about the future, there's one point I want to make to our viewers, really, that I think says volumes about you, Ricky, and that is, at the Naval Academy, you have been selected the vice president of your class. And when you look at the whole enrollment of midshipmen there in the class of 2011, I think that says a lot about your leadership, but also your character and the way that your fellow midshipmen look at you. And congratulations on that election. So, let's talk a little bit about coming up. New football season will be here shortly. You're being mentioned as a Heisman Trophy candidate. How does that make you feel?
Definitely blessed. I always hoped and dreamed of actually trying to be in the race and all this stuff, but I never really thought it would happen. But that's just, one testimony right there. If you just stay true and continue to follow God and keep Him first, He will bring you places where you never thought you would ever go.
Right. And in February, you were selected as one of 2 team captains for the upcoming season. That's quite an honor in itself, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's also like a double honor because both of us are Georgia natives.
Right. I saw that Wyatt Middleton of Norcross, I guess he's a safety on defense and you the quarterback, so y'all got both offense and defense covered then.
Yes, sir.
Well, I in preparing for this interview, I tried to see if I could pronounce the name of your coach at Navy, and I finally gave up on that. So if I'm correct, I think he's the only person of Samoan descent that has been the head coach of a major university football coach. How about pronouncing his name for us? Tell us what you call him, the players call him, and what kind of coach is he?
Well, his name is Coach Kenneth Niamatalolo, and for short we call him Coach Niamat, because that's a mouthful to every time you want to get his attention, Coach Niamatalolo. But he's an amazing guy. He hails from Hawaii, and he's an inspiration to me. He's one of my spiritual leaders, someone who I look up to for advice and stuff like that. And he's just a very exceptional man. He's soft-spoken, and his coaching techniques are, like, to me, second to none because he has an understanding and a heart for players and shows compassion. But at the same time, he has a mean streak, and he really don't take no BS. He doesn't play around, and he's very firm but very easygoing. And I think that's the perfect balance in the head coach that anybody could want.
Right. And speaking of tough names to pronounce, now your predecessor as quarterback at Navy, tell us what his name is.
His name is Kaipanoa Kahiaku Nhara. He's from Hawaii as well. He's helped me a lot with this triple option. He ran it in high school, and I took over the reins. He passed the torch to me last year, and he definitely checks in with me every now and then to make sure that I'm on the right track, staying up on top of the game like I need to in order to get to where he was as far as the knowledge of this triple option offense. Right.
And the upcoming season, who do you open with?
We open up with Maryland on Labor Day, September 6th at 4 p.m. on ESPN.
And, of course, you hope to win the 8th straight victory over Army. Will be an 8th straight Commander-in-Chief trophy. Other than the Notre Dame game, what are another couple of top teams you'll be playing or top games this season?
Well, the first one, Maryland. Every game I think this year is a top game for us because we cannot overlook anyone or take anyone lightly. We have to take it one game at a time. But I think what the reporters and the analysts have as our standouts are Notre Dame, Wake Forest, the Maryland game, I think East Carolina, and of course Army and Air Force.
Right. And of course you may be breaking a lot of records in this upcoming season, national records as well as Navy records. I think one record that you already have that probably never will be broken is that before you there was no player in Navy history that had scored 4 touchdowns in a single game other than one time. And you've already scored 4 touchdowns in a single game on 4 times. So I think that's a record, even with others. And there are many other records, but we won't have time to talk about those today. But tell me, we went back to your birthday, January 31, 1988. What's significant about that date, other than you being born on that date?
That day was the day that the first and only African-American quarterback won a Super Bowl, still to this date. And Doug Williams is his name. He played with the Washington Redskins.
Right.
They were playing against Denver, I think. and my mom, she had me. I think she did a C-section, so she said she wasn't in any pain, and the doctors asked if she could wait till after the game. So I was born at 8:26 p.m. after the football game.
Right.
And that right there in itself is kind of like why I feel like it's a destiny for me to play quarterback and stuff. And it just so happens that I end up actually being a quarterback. And to this day, I made friends with Doug Williams. Mr. Doug Williams, he came, he called me on the week before my first start. As a sophomore, I started against Northern Illinois in November, and he called me and left a message, and I called him back, and we had been, mixing it up since. He checks on me, I checks on him, and then stuff like that. So.
Right. Now, I know back in April, you and your Navy teammates were at the White House to meet with President Obama. You had Commander-in-Chief trophy, you won again. And I know that you wanted to make sure that President Obama remembered who you were. So what did you do?
Well, the first year we went, last year when he first was inaugurated, I signed the football helmet that we gave to him. I signed it with my signature, my autograph, and then I signed my name 5 times on it.
Right.
So once he look around, he's gonna see, well, either they have 5 Ricky Dobbs or this guy is, trying to say something.
Right.
So that was my plan then, and with doing that, I was hoping that the next year that we went, he would be like, well, who was Ricky Dobbs? Where is he? And and then I of course said that I wanted to be. I used to have dreams of being the first African American president, and that was kind of inspired off of me being born on the day that the first African American won a Super Bowl. So I kind of felt like I wanted to be the first or the next first or the next something. And I didn't know what it was. And then I kind of made way. People telling me I was quite a politician, and that's when I kind of made the way that I wanted to run for president in high school. Right.
And who knows what the future will hold, but certainly the recent past has been great. All of us are looking forward to this season and to what happens to you in life beyond that. Certainly you're a credit to this community and to this country, and you're living the American dream, and we just hope it just continues. Midshipman Dobbs, great to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Right.